Hi again everyone, and welcome back to Caesar's Freedomstead. Today I want to go ahead and do a video for you here. I thought it'd be really beneficial to pretty much this time of season in our country and in the world to kind of give everyone, all you viewers, the step-by-step on going ahead and getting out of your comfort zone and starting your own homestead. Now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you the steps and the small things that me and Marina did starting our homestead just a couple years ago during all this craziness that's going on. And I want to go ahead and share that information with all of you viewers there. And I hope that if you enjoy this video and this information, you get something from it. Go ahead and subscribe and like and share. And what I really like, what I really want to see in our country and in the pretty much in the world is families being able to be dependent upon themselves and self-sufficient and be able to not depend on the grocery stores or the government or anyone else when it comes to your basic needs. And homesteading is the best way to do that. First thing, number one, land. You want to go ahead and figure out how much land you want. Now, in the future, you can always expand, especially if you're in an area where your neighbors have a lot of land also. Sometimes, you know, when you get to that point where you're kind of growing out of the space that you have, you can actually buy from your neighbors. You can say, hey, you know, you got 100 acres. You mind if I grab another 2 acres from you? I'll purchase that from you. And you guys work that out. But start small. And you can always buy land elsewhere, you know, kind of upgrade and everything. But I always say to start with at least 1 acre of land. So why 1 acre? Well, you could do a lot with an acre. There's certain people who could do a lot of gardening and, you know, kind of like that small, like minimalist homesteading on like a less than an acre. But if you really want to get serious about it, you have to get at least 1 acre to be able to do everything you need to do. If you want to provide your own meat and you want to provide your own fruits and vegetables and be able to have, you know, space out to do other things like building structures and such, I recommend getting at least 1 acre. Now, we started out here with 7 acres out here on our property here, and we still haven't grown out into it yet. So start small. So that's my number one recommendation for those of you who want to homestead or you're just getting started. Start small, get at least 1 acre. I'd say to start between 1 and 10 acres to begin with. Now, what kind of land? So this is the next question here. So what kind of land? Now, you want to have as much open land as possible, obviously. So, you can buy land that's covered in brush and trees and such if you plan on clearing it out. Because, obviously you can't do nothing with the land if it's covered in trees. Now, land that has that's overgrown is usually less expensive when you're buying it per acre, just because it's not usable until it's cleared, and some people just don't want to clear it. So if you're willing to put in that time and energy and work to do that, that's great. What you want to do is just try to get some flat land. Next, take note of the type of trees that are on the property as well. That is one of the biggest things that you need to pay attention to as far as what's actually growing out here, because it's going to tell you a lot about what you can actually do with the land in the future. Most people, especially myself, I don't want to just clear land and then let it sit and rot. I want to use what I have on the property. When looking at a property that has some acreage covered in trees, look and see what kind of trees you have, whether it's pine or hardwoods. If they're fully mature or if they're really thin and skinny. You could tell a lot about your land just by looking at those features. For instance, something that we learned about our land not too long ago, if you have a lot of acreage and most of the trees are very skinny, chances are all that was cleared out in the past already. Pay attention to the trees that are on your land, because if you want to especially be self-sufficient on your land, you want to make sure that you have the right type of wood that you can use for wood burning as well. So make sure there's a lot of hardwood. You want to stay away from pine. It's nice to have pine trees on your property, but as far as wood burning inside the house, hardwood is the way to go. And you can actually build a lot of great stuff with hardwood as well if you want to do that on your property. So pay attention to the trees and the growth that is on your property as well. For example, our property has both. We have a lot of pine and we have a lot of hardwood as well. Now, I do a lot with both. The hardwoods I will use for firewood, and the pines I actually use the pine needles for bedding, for mulch, all kinds of different things out here. So I make use of every type of tree that I have that's coming down. One of the great things of having enough land, at least 1 acre, like I said, is for you to be able to build a building or other structures on your property. Like our building back here. Now, we use this for a number of different things. So this is our storage facility, as well as, a kids play area. It's a gym. It's a place where I pretty much just store things. Most of it is for storage. But, when you start doing an operation, like we're starting to get into an operation into many other fields, rabbitry, chickens, all those different things. You're going to acquire a lot of things. And you definitely don't want to just keep it all in your garage. If you have a garage attached to your house, you want to have a separate area so you can go ahead and have everything organized. Okay, once you got your land, you can either start two things. You can either start doing your animals for your meat and eggs and such. But what I do recommend to start with, just to keep yourself from being overwhelmed with things, start with a garden. Now, we out here, this garden's pretty much done. This is December right now, so we don't really do too much gardening, obviously, because things don't survive. There are certain things you can keep growing, and we do have kale going, and we have a little bit of a fall garden going here. But what you need to do is start your garden next. Now, right here, we have this big enclosed area here, this fenced in area. We fence it in because obviously we don't want, pests getting in, like rodents type deals, or deer. Deer like to get in and eat all your fruits and vegetables as well. So if you can, go ahead and fence in the area. A good rule of thumb is, if you want to be completely safe, put 6-foot fencing all around. Deer like to hop fences, but it's going to be really difficult for them to hop a 6-foot fence. So definitely put some 6-foot fencing. Some of this isn't 6 foot. We've been doing completely fine. But the area toward the woods here, where the deer always come out, that is all 6 foot on that side and toward the back. So fence in your garden area just for insurance. Plant your garden first. is my recommendation before you really get animals. You can get some egg-laying chickens. That's totally fine. They'll take care of themselves. But what I do recommend is to start your garden next. And I like what the Bible says. It says, before you build your house, plant your garden. You know, do your outside work first. And the reason is because while you're doing other things, you know, you sowed the seed, you did all your work out here while you're, you know, building all your other structures, you're building your home, but plant your garden first. Because while you're doing all those things, your garden's gonna be growing. All your fruits and vegetables are gonna be growing while you're doing all your other things. And by the time you're done, you know, bringing animals onto your property and getting them all happy and fed and building your structures and kind of just getting your homestead established, you'll have tomatoes and green beans and onions, and you'll have all your fruits and vegetables growing already, you know, for you to start eating once you got everything going. So plant your garden first. It's gonna grow while you're getting everything else done. And try to pick a big enough area where you can grow as much as you'd like to. Our first garden was in our bedroom window, which is a tomato plant growing out of a little pot. And we expanded from there. Now this is a 1,600 square foot area that we always plant a garden in with rows and everything. Yeah. Next, go ahead and get your meat. Next, what you want is livestock. So you got your land, you got your home. Now you need to go ahead and have some livestock. If you want to provide your own meat, which is highly recommended to provide your own meat, you know, this way you don't have to rely on the grocery store and such. Now that's part of homesteading, is to produce your own food. So back here I have Cornish cross. These are the meat chickens. These are the chickens that you usually see at the store, you know, for their chicken breast meat and, you know, the big whole chickens. It's usually the Cornish cross. So you want to have, like I said, when I told you before, you want to have enough land, especially when you want to have some animals on it. You want to try to give them the best life possible, because they will have that one bad day when they go through the butcher or processing. And so these chickens right here have so much space that I move them twice a day, and they get new green grass all day, every day. They're never sleeping in their feces. They're never walking around in it. They're always on new grass, so they have a great life. They always have food, they always have water, and look at them, they're just hanging out in the sun. They got it made. So now, I'll go over chickens more in another video. We've done plenty of videos on chickens, but all you really need is some clean water, and get a couple of feeders, and get the meat bird feed to go ahead and feed them here. So, but you want to give them fresh grass every day, at least a few times a day. Just try to make sure that they're never on their feces, you know, because you're going to be eating that meat anyways. So make sure you move them a couple times a day. We got your land, we have your chicken meat. Now you could go ahead and expand from there. If you have more land and you feel comfortable with you know, getting more livestock, definitely go do that. Get your goats and your sheep and your cows and such, but start small. Start with chickens. Chickens are very simple to take care of. They pretty much take care of themselves. So you got your meat birds here. So now you got your land, you have your privacy, you got your space, and pretty much your freedom out here. Now you got some meat. And you could go ahead and order these chickens online if you'd like to. Sometimes Tractor Supply has meat birds, but they go pretty quick. But go ahead and order them online from the hatcheries, and they'll get to you. Make sure you order at least 10 more than you plan on eating, because you're going to lose some. Unfortunately, sometimes they just go. So now you got your meat. Now let's see what else you could do. All right, so you have your garden planted, you have your meat. So I recommend starting with meat chickens. Chicken for meat, it's very easy to take care of. I'll do a video on that in the future, or another one. I've done plenty of them. But you have your garden going, you have your meat chickens, and now, for those of you who eat eggs, which most of us do, get some egg layers. Now I got a couple egg layers in here. They're back there eating. So right here we have a couple lavender Orpingtons in here, but we mainly like to do the Rhode Island Reds. Rhode Island Reds are great for meat and for large eggs, and they lay eggs nearly every single day. What are you doing? So they lay eggs nearly every single day, the Rhode Island Reds. We really love the Lavender Orpingtons. These chickens are, in my opinion, the best chickens for tilling your garden, for tilling the land. That is all they do all day. They are a heck of a scratchers. They will go ahead and get everything out and just turn it into complete dirt. So, but we'll do another video on that in the future. So, but these two right here lay us a few eggs a day. We kind of scaled down. We used to have, gosh, like almost 30 egg layers, and they would lay, gosh, I'd get like 1.5 dozen a day. Okay, the next thing you could do here, once you've got your garden planted, you have some meat going, some meat chickens, and you have some eggs coming. So now you have a little bit of a food flow coming in that's independent of stores and other people. Go ahead and expand a little bit. Once you have all those things down packed, we're expanding into rabbitry. And so these right here are silver fox rabbits, and we're going to be using them for breeding and for meat. And so as you can imagine, we will have the meat from the chickens, and we'll also have meat from rabbits as well. But we will also be selling them as pets, you know, so it'll kind of be a dual purpose. So expand, start adding on, and if you don't have the money to build things, or you just don't have the time, use what you have. So right now we're working on projects of building a complete wooden structure for our rabbitry. We just haven't finished it yet. So we're just using what we have right now. Dog cages and coverings, you know. So this is what works right now. So we have 4 rabbits right now for breedings. And so these right here are going to be the start of basically our new venture out here. So once you have other things established, slowly add on one thing at a time. We started with egg laying chickens, and then we did the meat chickens with the egg laying at the same time. And then we started doing rabbitry. So one thing at a time, and you'll pretty much be an expert at each thing as you go. And so the first couple that you start with will become extremely easy, and then you just got to learn something new. The next thing I recommend is to plan for the future. Now, the reason for that is that you want to have younger animals that are growing into their prime, that will be ready to do the job that you are currently doing with the animals that you have. So right here, I have a bunch of Rhode Island Reds, and they like to perch up there on top of their water. I'll have to get them off there in a second. But right here, I have a bunch of Rhode Island Reds. Now, these right here they're just a couple months old. And so these right here are our plan for the future for egg laying and for garden tilling. So they're going to be going in with the Lavender Orpingtons probably in about 2 more months when they're a little bit bigger. And so this is one of our plans for the future here. These young ones are going to be our new egg layers, and there's 8 inside of here, and we'll have 10 egg layers all together starting soon. Like I said, it really just depends on how big you want to be. We used to have a lot of egg layers. Like I said, we used to get 1.5 dozen to 2 dozen a day of eggs, and it was just more than what we can eat or sell. So we kind of scaled back a little bit, and now we're just kind of building back up again. So have a backup. Have some young animals that are getting ready to start working on your homestead as well. I want to add just one more thing here with the land. A bonus is to check to see if there is a water source on your land, like a creek or a river or something like that runs through it. A creek is best. So if you have a water source running through the property, you will always have a clean water source coming through that you can use for all the homesteading needs out here. If you don't have it, that's okay, but optimally you do want to get a water source on that property as well. All right, since you have your garden, you got some meat going, you got some eggs going, you got some young ones coming up, you have pretty much all your outside work going for you on the homestead. So what do you do now? Now, a couple things that you need to take in consideration when you have homestead, when you have property out in the country. You're going to be a little bit further away from civilization, or you can get lucky and find some land that's close by. We got lucky enough that we found 7 acres of land outside of city limits, but it's still only a 5-minute drive or less to the hospital and to downtown. So it's really quite a perfect area that we are out here. So look for that as well when you're trying to find the great, perfect place for your homestead. Something that is also a great perk when having property in homesteading is a lot of states will actually drop your property taxes because you have a certain amount of trees on a certain amount of acreage that has trees on them, or if you have livestock on it, you can actually get big tax cuts with the county and state every year. So to give you an example, the taxes on our property here was enormously high when we first got the property. But because we put in those exceptions for the right amount of acreage that has trees on it and for livestock, we actually got a large discount in our taxes. So we pay, compared to what it was, it is about a quarter of what it could have been if we didn't file that exception. So you can do that in a lot of states. But you do have to, there is a minimum amount of acreage that you have to have. So go ahead and take a look at what that minimum is in the area that you are. You could actually get that huge tax break. So that's one of the other perks of homesteading with a lot of land. So like I said before, I do recommend starting small. But a good rule of thumb when you want to save some money out here is check to see what that minimum amount of acreage is with the county, with trees covering in it, that you can use, and you can have land for livestock. See what the qualifications are there in where you are, and find some property that meets those expectations, and you'll pay much less in your property taxes. So, what did you learn from this experience? Well, this was pretty much just a beginner's guide. I didn't go into quite detail on a lot of things because I want to save that for other videos. You know, to kind of give you that more detailed steps to each little area. I just wanted to kind of give you a kind of like a beginner's guide, like I said, something that I would have wanted to see when we were planning on doing this, because it is a big change when you move from city life or cookie cutter home life out to a homestead. It is a lot more responsibility, a lot more work, and you have to do a lot more planning, but you have freedom. You provide your own food, and you have the freedom, you provide your own food, and it's just, there's something about being able to provide for yourself and having space and privacy that it's a different feeling. It's completely different than the city or the cookie cutter home life, of which me and my wife, me and Marina both have lived those lives, city life and cookie cutter home life. So out here, it is a big difference. So you just plan for those differences. It's going to be a culture shock, but that's all you really need. You just need some space for a garden. Get started with some meat chickens. Get started with some egg-laying chickens, and that is a good place to start because those are the easiest. Those are the easiest things to manage when you're first getting started with your homestead. Chickens are the easiest animal to take care of, and then expand from there. Each year, add something on. Well, thank you so much, y'all. If you really like this video and you got something from it, please go ahead and subscribe and like. And I'm going to create some more videos in the future, more detailed on each subject. And, just follow me on this journey here if you're starting out, trying to get a homestead or moving out in the country. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.